I was really tired. I was taking a 2-hour nap every day. My kids were getting sick all the time. I was getting sick all the time, and I wanted a way out. So, if I would have been told, "Hey, why don't you start a business?" I probably would have run away. I had just said the week before I started, "I'm not adding anything else to my life." And
Mhm.
then I just the Juice Plus opportunity was before me, and there was a way to offset the cost for us to be healthier, and that's really what appealed to me. And so I scraped that. At the time, it was $50. Now it's 52, but I scraped that together, and that was like a big decision for us. But really, I look back on it, that was like the smartest $52 anybody can ever spend. I just didn't know it.
The Real Hustle. Smart strategies for income, life, and business.
Welcome back to The Real Hustle. I'm Doug, and I'm so glad you're here. I've got my famous co-hosts with me, Melissa, and today we are diving into the ultimate question for any busy person, and that is, what is the smartest possible investment you can make? I'm not talking about a quick flip in the market. We're talking about an investment that changes your life structure, the kind of smart investment that offers maximum flexibility, high potential scaling, and purpose in your life. Okay, our mission here is to help you discover something that aligns with your life. And our guest today is really like the perfect blueprint for this. I'm excited to welcome Anneke Hudson. She went from being a busy homeschool mom to a national marketer with the Juice Plus company. She's like a businesswoman ninja. And because she mastered building this business in the stolen moments of that busy life of hers. So, Anneke, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be on tonight, Doug.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. And I got to kick this off with your story and how you made that smartest $52 investment you could make and why. You know, what was the real return you were investing in with that whole getting started with this?
Well, honestly, I was really tired. I was taking a 2-hour nap every day. My kids were getting sick all the time. I was getting sick all the time, and I wanted a way out. So, if I would have been told, "Hey, why don't you start a business?" I probably would have run away, because it was just like there's nothing else I could add. In fact, I had just said the week before I started, "I'm not adding anything else to my life." And then
Mm,
the Juice Plus opportunity was before me, and there was a way to offset the cost for us to be healthier. And that's really what appealed to me. And so I scraped that. At the time, it was $50. Now it's 52, but I scraped that together, and that was like a big decision for us. But really, I look back on it, I'm like, that was like the smartest $52 anybody can ever spend. I just didn't know it.
For real. For real. Well, before we get into like what life was like for you at that time, it's like you're busy already. How are you going to fit a business in, you know? So,
Right.
how did you initially reconcile like starting a business or whatever you want to call this with the demands of being a homeschool mom and all the stuff you're doing?
well, yeah, tell us a little bit about you because you're saying she's busy, but I don't know if our listeners know what she's busy doing.
This is true.
Yeah. Well, and at the time, I actually was I had started a business, was trying to run that. My husband was starting a church in Northern Illinois and was driving a school bus to try to help make ends meet. I was doing farmers markets on the weekend with the business that we had started. We were trying to homeschool our kids. The kids were helping with the business. It was kind of insanity, and I wouldn't recommend it for anyone. And we were doing pretty well, but that money was going right back into the business. And so my idea of a business was really, really hard, really exhausting, and not really profitable for the family. So I kinda had my own preconceived notions, and I also had some really bad opinions about that MLM stigma.
Mm,
I just thought, "There's no way I'm gonna do that." I'm not a
Mm,
salesperson, I'm not gonna do that, whatever that is. So I had a
yeah.
bunch of preconceived notions that weren't really even true, and so I just kinda pushed it aside. A friend kept reaching out. She knew we were sick, she knew this was a perfect solution for me, but I didn't know it was a perfect solution. But when I finally was just so tired, and she had done a good job of educating me about what Juice Plus was. And so once I realized, oh my goodness, this is powdered plants. I'm not getting this anywhere else in my life. The gummy vitamins at the big box store weren't cutting it. And I knew, hey, we're still getting sick. I'm buying these and nothing's changing. So I'm like, I knew that there was something better out there, but the pain point was that the Hudsons couldn't have it because we were broke. And there's a lot of good things that the Hudsons couldn't have. So really, it
Mm.
was just that first little promotion where I made $100 by getting our family started and my parents started. And that I had those 2 checks in the mail. I got back from vacation. I really didn't even think I was gonna make any money. I just thought, well, it just makes sense to get some money back. But I looked at that check and I thought, "Huh, that wasn't that hard. I bet I could do this."
So that brings me to one of my first questions. So, because I would say I run into a lot of people that say those same things. So, you really couldn't afford it, but you started to understand it. So, how did you go from that cost of $50 and changing it into something of value
Right. Well,
that,
I think I had some really smart sponsors and mentors ahead of me, and like attracts like, right? I had people that had been down the road ahead of me. They were healthy, they had energy, that was attractive to me. They had some financial margin. They were still at home with their kids. But one of the things that my friend Callie said on the phone with me when I was kind of exploring the business opportunity was she said, "We always find money for what we value."
hmm,
And that
true.
really got me because, everybody can say I can't afford something or I don't have time. We throw that around
Yeah.
purposelessly, right? But
Right.
when somebody calls you out on your values and asks you what your values are, if you're a person of integrity, you have to back that up, right? So for me to
Hmm.
say we don't value our health, that's stung a little bit. And then
Well,
I thought
because
about our
it's
shopping
it's
cart.
it's really easy to spend $52. Like, my car probably takes, like, $45 in gas, but that's what I thought of. I'm like, "You could spend $52 on gas, and you spend that in a week."
Right. I was thinking about that too. Like, how many times do we blow $52? One meal out. You don't make anything
Yeah.
on that. It's gone, right? There it
No.
goes. You can't even feed a family of pizza for $52 or concert tickets
No.
or, a fun outfit or whatever it is that you value. You make room for it. You get really creative when you figure out what you
Yeah.
value, right? So that was it
So,
for me.
that's awesome, thank you. So, we said you were doing lots of things, so business, homeschool, kids. How did you fit this in?
Well, my wise mentor said you can do this business in the stolen minutes of the day. And I believed them. And what was really fun, and if anybody's been stay-at-home parent before, you get a little lonely. You wanna talk to adults. And here, all of a sudden, I had adults that were saying, "Way to go. Good job. You can do this." And I was getting leadership
Mm,
development training, and that was really exciting for me to have somebody pouring into me after I was pouring out all day. Again,
wow.
to have that mentoring going on, where can you get that? I was getting that
Mhm.
for free. People pay hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for good coaching, and I was getting that every day.
Sorry, I'm not paying you, Doug.
I know. Oh, you got my Venmo. Send it over. I was going to say, though, that is such a cool part of our business model. Now, obviously, we eventually we're going to get to some other businesses we can talk about on this podcast. But so far, we're focusing primarily on Juice Plus people. And because that's the business I'm in, one of the businesses, and Melissa's in, Annika's in it. And already some of the stuff you've talked about, we could probably do like 5 episodes on things like the stigmas around network marketing or direct sales or whatever you want to call it. And just that whole idea of, I love I'm going to skip over that for now. That's a whole nother episode. But,
Yeah.
but I love what you were saying about how you could start with just a little bit, because if it would have been like, I always use the same analogy is opening up a pizza place. If we open the doors on our pizza place, you can't really just open for lunch 1 hour a day, 3 days a week. You're not going to be able to grow the business, and you're not going to be able to pay the rent. But in this business model, like Anneke was talking about, it's only $52 a year to have a franchise with a multi-billion-dollar company over 50 years, that you also get mentorship from people that have been doing this for a long time and know what they're talking about.
Right.
And in addition to that opportunity, the easy access point, the low overhead, it's low overhead to run the business because there's not a lot that you have to spend money on, honestly.
Right.
Or you can only just do a little bit.
Well, and I did some math. I just thought this was so great when you think about that $52 opportunity. And if you just look at your health, If we didn't get any money back and we had the health benefits that we have from our Juice Plus products, it would be so worth it, right? You can't go to any health food store anywhere that's going to cut you a check for what your family's eating. So that's another whole podcast episode. But if you look at the first two steps of our business, I did the math. You pay your $52 and you get through the first two promotions. I won't bore anybody with the Juice Plus jargon, but those first two plans, husband, wife, and mother get the first promotion. You help three friends do the same thing. The return on that investment is 1,553%. Smartest
Yeah.
way.
Percent. Wow.
If you stopped there, it would probably be the best investment of your life, just financially speaking. And that's not
Wow.
including any other bonuses after that. That's like just if you stopped after those first two. So I just think
Wow.
that's remarkable. You go to a bank and you say, "Hey, I have $52 and I want a 1,500% return on my investment."
It'd
They're
be
gonna
like,
laugh you
yeah.
out of the place. And,
Yeah.
especially a mom in yoga pants that's got kids and
Oh
strollers
my
and,
God.
responsibilities. There's no way they take a chance on that.
Wow.
Hey, I want to
Wow.
really thank our chat, because I don't. And by the way, you guys that are in the on Monica and Melissa, if you go to the chat icon on the right, unless you're on the phone, I wouldn't mess with it. But you can see the chat. You can choose either studio chat or live chat. But they're putting questions in there,
Okay.
and so thank you for doing that. It makes it a lot more fun if I can inject some of that. Carol Gardner, I love Carol Gardner, asking about having a quick start, and that makes me realize I don't really know the backstory about, like, so you started you were chill starting out, just trying to like cover your costs and whatnot. But what was the timeline like? Because I didn't realize your husband's a pastor and you're a homeschool mom. And I mean, I've worked in ministry before, but I've worked on that side of ministry, like at the mega church where you still have like huge salaries and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the typical pastor's family is pretty humble. Okay, I know that. So, how did that transition look of like figuring out that, hey, I can make some money at this? And when that happened, were you like a fast mover, or did you kind of keep chill forever and like build this over 20 years?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Well, a little bit of both. A little bit of both. I got through those first steps quickly. I did the first two promotions in the first 2 months, and then I qualified my business, got those about 25 customers roughly, and then just kind of slowly built after that. So I've never not had that qualified business where you're making between $200 and $500 a month. I did that from the third month, and that's I've been in Juice Plus for 10 years. So if you think about that, like just at a minimum, making $200 a month for 10 years and paying $52 a year. I call that compound investment and compound in,
Hmm.
because really it's not just an investment that's growing, it's with your activity. So if you put a little bit of activity in, and you can put a lot in or a little. And when I needed extra, I ramped it up. When I had to take a break, I took my foot off the gas, but I always kept moving forward. And so it took me 6 years to get to national marketing director. I mean, I wanted to go faster, but I love it that we have a choice. I was always able to prioritize my family and whatever was going on at the time. Life happens. Sometimes, I couldn't go as fast as what I wanted to, but I was always able to say yes to the most important things and still maintain my business and keep it moving forward. So I love it. Like, in our company, we talk about fast and slow.
Hmm.
But that's not really the point. The point is that we've all made a really smart investment, and we get to decide when we want the income and how fast we want the income based on what kind of life is happening. And there's no penalty.
Annika, thank you. I love that. We're going to have to connect after this because I hear everything. I
That's
hear
why I'm
everything.
talking less.
Doug's like,
See, I coach Melissa. So this whole podcast, I'm glad you're all along for the ride, but this is really, all questions are going to be
this is
focused
my
on
intervention.
setting up an intervention for Melissa. But go ahead,
But,
Melissa.
but no, two things that kind of came up. So it's been said in like some of the leadership training books, like, so the key is not to prioritize what's in your schedule, but to schedule your priorities, which it sounds like you prioritize your life.
Mhm.
So I'd like to hear about that. But then also the other part, for people that still say they don't have time, whether it's Juice Plus business or any other business, do you have some daily non-negotiables that you always make sure you do to hit your business,
That's a good question.
touch your business?
Yeah, I do. I I'm constantly checking my back office and watching numbers, making sure that the structure and the people that have, I mean, I just feel like such a responsibility that when somebody comes into my team, they hit those first 2 or 3 goals and do as much as they want to do. When someone says I need to make $1,000 a month or $5,000 a month, I take that really seriously because that's their life. That's something that I can help them control. And that's really fun for me. I love those coaching calls where we
Okay.
can help
I love
people
that.
get from point A to point B. So, as a leader, that's very important to me. But also, I just think part of the stolen moments piece is showing up in gratitude and asking good questions. I mean, just connecting with people. And we can keep our heads down and get so buried in our business that we forget just the fun of talking to people. I love that. And so I think,
And you actually said that as we were prepping for this chat, one of my most favorite things to do is have connections and conversations with people. And I love that
yeah,
because you love connecting with people.
right. Yeah. And it's so funny to get paid to talk to people. I could do that. Why don't we do that? Isn't that a great idea?
Hey, let's do that. How do you keep finding, after 10 years doing this, how do you keep finding new people to talk to about the products or about bringing people into the business side of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think you just keep finding new opportunities and new circles. And part of that's just following your kids. You know what I mean? Like your kids are playing a sport, you're there meeting and having fun connecting with people and you're listening. You're listening for opportunities for good conversation. I like to come with the agenda to love and connect people, not the agenda to sell Juice Plus. None of us want to be a salesperson, but we do love to help people. And so how many times do you hear a mom say they're worried about their kids or their kids are picky eaters or they're so tired or how they're tired of being sick? All of these things come up multiple times a week. So all you have to do is listen and ask some good questions. What have you tried? Oh my goodness, I know that used to be our story. And let them ask you what your story was. It doesn't have to be, oh my goodness, I have this thing called Juice Plus and it's just amazing. It's changed our lives. That's true. But when we connect with people, we get to play the volleyball game of conversation and just really hear their heart. And that's my favorite thing to do. The order's the
So
bonus. The order's the bonus. The team member's the bonus.
you've really actually answered another question or a statement I wanted to ask you because you describe yourself as having a PhD in people. So I was going to ask you, how is that more effective to lead people, recruit people, share with people, like you said, at sporting events versus like a high pressure sales pitch?
Right.
Just going in with the mindset of love and connecting and asking questions
Yeah. Well,
and being authentic, it sounds
and
like.
I have to say, my dear friend Callie told me that I have a PhD in people. I wouldn't have come up with that one, but I do think like the word recruiting is kind of a yucky feel for probably all of us.
Yeah.
But I like to just look. I actually ask God to highlight people, like for me,
Mm,
because, there's just people that are easy to talk to. They're fun to connect with, people that you want to travel with. And I'm always telling my team this like, let's find low drama people. Let's find people that
mm,
don't gossip and backstab. And you know what? We have a pretty tremendous team of those kinds of people because we
Mm.
all
wow.
appreciate each other. We appreciate what we have. I don't wildly recruit because my organization is so precious and important to me to build something that's life-giving for everybody involved, and so we really like to look for those people that we enjoy.
Wow. That's a really deep, really great tip. I love that.
I mean, I feel like I'm too shallow of a person to even contribute to this conversation.
I disagree, Doug.
With that said, I'm going to keep pressing you on practical tips for like everyday people that don't get to have you as a mentor and there are different approaches, you know what I mean? I
Right.
mean,
Well,
there's
and
different
some
approaches.
people are really high tech, and I have people on my team, I'm so thankful for them, but I'm not. I'm old school. I have the pencil and the paper, I have the clipboard with the DMO. I've done some automated things. I do project broadcast and try to keep up with that. But honestly, I'm not the type of person that spends a lot of time figuring out technology, and I don't like to invest in a lot of technology. It takes me a while to really come around and say, is this really worth my money when that's not my skill set? So I love Tommy Newberry. If you've ever read his books, he says to
Uh-huh.
lean into your strengths. And I
Yeah.
really believe in that. If you lean into your strengths in this business, find out what you're really good at and bring that to the table. And then the whole team thrives together.
Mm.
That is great. But when practically speaking, when it comes, let's say I'm new on your team.
Hmm.
I've joined Anneke, Team Anneke, and I've gotten some customers. I've even maybe qualified my business, but I'm struggling to bring on partners.
Hmm.
What is a, I mean, that's a pretty common thing.
Right.
I mean, there's a, you have your product people, and then you have your business builders.
Right.
Um, what advice would you have for people that just want to get better at bringing on team members and growing that community so they can have an even bigger impact?
Right. Well, I think that's a great question. I think it all comes down to the numbers of people you're interacting with. If you can do more live events, I would step up your events, because the people that you're bringing around you, they're more likely to become that new partner plus for you, that new first promotion. I really think that. And then I also ask people, there's just a wonderful thing in connecting with people. People that tell you no, say, I totally get that. That's okay. But I'm really looking for some like-minded people to run with. Who do you know that you could introduce me to? Always turn that no into a yes, because it doesn't mean that we have to give up if somebody told us no. They might have some great ideas, and chances are they want to help us, but maybe that's just not, the business isn't a good fit for them
Hmm.
right now. Or maybe they'd be
Mm.
willing to host an event and introduce you to some people. Like I think there's just so many ways to use the relationships that we have to find more relationships of like-minded people.
Mm.
Would you have an example of another question you would ask, either if you're, so when you said let's say you're at soccer and a mom is talking about her kids and you say, "Hey, that was us. That used to be my story." Maybe they don't ask, what kind of question would you ask that person? Or also, a second question would be, when you are talking to people about joining and sharing this mission with you.
Yeah.
So, kind of like example of two different questions.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how the conversation's going. Sometimes we don't ask about joining the business right away the first conversation.
Mhm.
But a lot of times I'll say, I have something that might be helpful for you. Would you be open to getting together sometime? I'll follow up with you after the game. Or would you be open to taking a look at something? Like, I said no to this, so I get it if this seems a little funny, but I would just love to share it with you. I'm always looking for like-minded, fun people to do this business with. Or sometimes
So
even use the B word, like I love to share life with good people.
you're not afraid to use the B word then?
Sometimes
Neither is
it depends who I'm
Melissa.
talking to. If they're like me, who was so tired, I don't want them to run away from me.
Oh my gosh, that is great. So it's my understanding that you are also involved in some other things that I think could really give people some vision and inspiration, because you've gone from like I don't want to do too much and a business might scare me away, to and dabbling a little bit, to becoming a national marketing director. You're talking about having a team. You're talking, so I think that scares a lot of people too. Like, I think people sometimes in this business might even sabotage themselves because there's a fear of success. Because if I'm successful, then I'm going to have this team. And I notice that my NMDs, they have to schedule all these Zooms. And what about project broadcasts? And what about blah? So,
All the things.
what does it really look like? And is it, how would you address that, and how do you keep like a work life balance, and how much time does it really take as an
Yeah.
NMD?
Well, I think that that's a good time to explore with more of your upline mentors and ask for a connection call. Hey, this is what I'm thinking. I don't know if I can handle this. Let them call out what they see in you, because we rarely see the gifts in ourselves. It really
Mm.
Mhm.
helps when someone says, "Hey, you have a PhD in people. You can do this. You don't need to understand technology. Just go talk to people." I've probably been told that 80 times when I'm feeling confused and down and like, I don't know if I can do this. So I would recommend, getting around those mentors. Find people that you connect with. Go to the trainings, go to the boot camps and the conferences, because you're going to be drawn to specific personalities and people that resonate with you, and then you can learn from them, because none of us is going to be a national marketing director overnight, and we don't have to have all the skills. We just have to know who to talk to help us learn.
Ooh, that's how I run my pharmacy career. I don't need all the answers. I just need to know where to find them.
Yeah, exactly. It takes some pressure off.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there one actionable step that we could tell our listeners to do in the next week? Because you're saying work in stolen moments, have conversations, have connections. What's something we could challenge our listeners with?
Track what you're doing. So you have those conversations, but you have to have a place where you're
Oh,
writing down who you talked to, when you followed up, what you sent them, when you want to follow up again. And I love that just old school daily mode of operation or opportunity that you can just
Mhm.
print off. I mean, I've printed off hundreds and hundreds of them probably, but having something where you can come back to is an anchor because we can be talking to a lot of people and then forgetting to come back to them. And maybe they're
Right,
really hoping that you will. So it's very
right.
important to do that. And then I would schedule at least one event a month. Something live a month that if you really wanna step it up, do something every week. But if you really wanna just keep your business moving forward, at least do 1 live event a month, and
mm.
3 connection calls a week if you're really trying to grow your business, 1 a week if you're, just trying to keep things moving. Just keep getting those people talking to your mentors because it's easy to feel like we have to do it all ourselves, but that's a
Mhm.
mistake. It's a big mistake to try to do the business alone and make it all about you because 1, you're gonna crumble, you're gonna feel discouraged. It's so much more fun when you're doing it with a friend that you trust. So bring those people to talk to your mentors that you love.
I love that you brought that up because yesterday Doug and I were texting and I was like, Juice Plus is hard today. And he's like, you're supposed to reach out to people. You're not supposed to do it on your own. And I said, I did. I just didn't reach out to you this time. I spared you.
Good. I'm going to tell her I'm sick more often. No, just kidding.
So, tracking who you're talking to, continuing to have conversations, not doing this alone. So, reaching up to your upline, reaching to people who are your friends, and continuing those live events. And on top of like the live events or the reach outs, I want to just add how you also said, find what you're good at and bring that. And that's really what we should be doing in anything.
Right.
So if you're on here and you are a Juice Plus partner, I'm going to challenge you to take some of those things that Annika said on your team's page and let's give us like a hashtag stolen moments.
Absolutely. And I think you gave us some great tips tonight. We didn't even get into the fact that it's not, I mean, she's building, Annika has built this business in stolen moments, like she said. She has flexible time. She can be present with her family, but also we didn't even talk about the fact she's involved with foster care. She's also, I think you're writing a book or you have written a book. And so I mean, you can do this. And I think it's a really great business model. Annika, thank you so much for sharing your heart and some tips with us tonight. And I just hope everybody got something out of this. Join us next time. We're going to keep bringing you guys some great content. Hopefully we can have Annika back. She seems like we want to get more of that PhD. I know she's not going to be
Yeah.
hesitant about coming back.
No, I would
But
love to
thank
Doug,
you.
come back. This was fun.
Okay.
are there any more questions in the comments?
Last chance, guys, on the chat. Somebody wanted, well, you addressed technology. Somebody was asking about technology and AI and things like that, but I don't get the impression that she's much of that on that scene, you know. And I think, like she said, everybody. I mean, everybody can kind of do the business how, or any business how you want. We get to share a great product with people that literally helps people. It helps their health. That's why all of us are here doing this business. We wouldn't be doing it if it wasn't an awesome product.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, the bottom line though is that products have to move. That's the bottom line. How does that happen? By interacting with people. If you do that on social media, great. If you do it at soccer practices, great. If you do it by networking, great. If you do it in your workplace, great. You know, it doesn't matter. The bottom line is you just, as Annika said, if you wanted to grow quicker or bring more people into your personal business, then you just increase the amount of people you're talking to. So that's going to be a common thread. And that's a basic business principle. That's why in other businesses like Coca-Cola, that's why you see ads for Coca-Cola all the time. They're increasing their reach to more people through advertising. In the direct sales model, we don't advertise like that. We have an army of people out there creating relationships and really asking important questions and solving people's problems basically by helping them with the solution of Juice Plus if that's appropriate to them. Does
Yeah,
that make sense?
it does, and I think what's fun is that army of people has the Juice Plus glow, They have energy. They're getting sick less. They have financial
Yeah.
margin. I mean, who wouldn't want to be a part of that? That is so exciting to me. Like they're healthy, they're thriving. And I think that's what's fun is you help a mom have more energy and have a good mood and be able to tackle her day. She's going to tell everybody she knows about Juice Plus. That's what's fun is you light up a whole family and nobody's going to be quiet about it.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Anneke, thank you again.
Thank you.
And you guys have a great night.
The Real Hustle. Smart strategies for income, life, and business.